and gentlemen, welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you. I'm here to do another quick movie review for you of a movie that I just saw, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Let's talk about it. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary, Shadow, a mysterious villain with powers unlike anything they have faced before. This will be a spoiler-free review, guys. Let me go ahead and bury the lead here. Sonic 3 is an absolute blast. This is coming in at the end of the year, one of the most fun experiences I have had in a cinema this all year. I was just grinning the entire time. I was laughing constantly, particularly at Jim Carrey's antics. The CGI, the effects in the movie are out of this world. Because I like the first two, but with each one, it gets a little bit better. But what I was going to say with the effects, what they did that I thought was beautiful is they made these surreal, frankly, unrealistic characters based on a video game look like they existed in our world. You know, you have the mixed media. You go all the way back in the 80s to Who Framed Roger Rabbit as one of the all-time greats, where you have real people, real landscapes and settings, and then you have animation kind of interacting with that stuff. You can always kind of tell, like, okay, that's an animated Bugs Bunny or whatever. It's great. I like it, but it's not a rabbit. It's not an actual bunny rabbit. In this movie, the effects were so good and so smooth that you could have told me it was a child wearing a Sonic suit with just like enhancements to the color and things like that. It was just so good, man. They're getting so good at this that, frankly, it's a little scary. Talk a little bit about the performances and the arc in the film without spoiling it. Shadow is essentially a mirror image of Sonic in terms of his powers, but he's actually a little more powerful because he could do a lot of like teleporting, whatever. Is that what you call it? I don't know. I'm not a Sonic head, but he could do even more things than Sonic the Hedgehog can do, which makes him more powerful. He also carries this burden with him and this kind of fuel for revenge in the film, and we kind of learn that backstory, which a friend of mine told me that that's actually based on the Shadow video game that came out in like 2006. So I need to research that and find that out, because that's actually a really cool arc for this character who is the villain the second you see him. Even the way he looks, the black and red, and just the menacing face and the eyes that are kind of glowing red. And it doesn't look like a fun hedgehog like our little furry blue Sonic. The voice acting, you got John Wick the Hedgehog here. So Shadow is voiced by Keanu Reeves, and what an inspired choice to cast him in this voice role. Because, like I said, Shadow's out for revenge. His whole thing in this movie. John Wick lives for revenge. It all started with his puppy dog in the first movie. And, of course, it's gone on to be a little more elaborate. But he's essentially John Wick in the Shadow character in this movie. Great voice inflections, perfect Keanu Reeves line deliveries. It was really, I can't even think of who else could have been cast in this for it to be more enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Ben Schwartz is always reliable as the voice of Sonic, and he is here too. I did like some of the jokes that were incorporated, the one-liners, and frankly, a couple dad jokes that I thought were hilarious in the film, especially when he's talking with James Marsden, who's his kind of adoptive father still in these movies. You got Idris Elba playing Knuckles in the film. I love having his kind of very heavy bass English accent in this film. Kind of felt like it was going from English to American, but whatever. It's Idris Elba, so I loved it. And then we have to talk about Jim Carrey, my dude. He recently said on Twitter that he made the new Sonic movie because he bought a lot of things and frankly, he needed the money. I love this guy. All the way back to In Living Color, Ace Ventura films, the 90s, he owned my life in terms of movie watching. Jim Carrey will always be one of my favorite actors that I feel weirdly personally connected to because of how his career trajectory lined up with me growing up into adolescence and college, etc. In this movie, he gets to play two roles. He's back as Dr. Robotnik, but he also plays Gerald Robotnik, which is his grandfather. And you've seen in the trailer, it's Jim Carrey in the white mustache, the old man, and then it's Jim Carrey, the Robotnik that we know with the same mustache but black. He is literally having the time of his life. Now, what I said about him needing the money, and I'm sure they paid him a boatload to come back basically out of retirement to make this, he could have phoned this in. He could have read the lines. He could have made a couple weird facial expressions. But no, he went above and beyond, blew me away in this kind of dual role that he was playing. Both of those characters brought so much to the story, and especially their story together. He's acting opposite himself in a lot of scenes, trying to reconnect with his long-lost grandfather in the movie. Jim Carrey is just astounding in this role, and I'm so glad that he decided to come back and do Robotnik again. I won't talk about his fate in the film, but I will say I hope we see him in future installments of the Sonic franchise. He'll have to keep coming out of retirement to do it, but I got my fingers crossed. I'm not going to tell you anything about him, but I will just say if you're watching this review and you're going to see Sonic 3 this weekend, there are 2 credit scenes. There's a mid-credit scene, but then you got to stay all the way to the end of the film because there's also an end credit scene. And they're actually quite long in terms of credit scenes, so they are pretty impactful, and they do give us a lot of like plot points for future possible installments in this franchise, particularly the next film if we were to get a Sonic 4. So if you're a fan of this franchise, if that interests you, make sure you stay all the way to the end of the film. Look, like I said, in wrapping up with the stellar, kind of mind-blowing effects, to be honest, in this film, especially when we have movies that have come out this year that I've seen and I've gone, who did they have like one dude doing the VFX? Like, let's get a team here. And I know doing like surreal animals is obviously easier than recreating what I get it. I'm not a VFX artist. I'm not going to pretend to know how hard it is to actually come through with that. But seeing the effects in this film, the performances I talked about, namely Jim Carrey and Keanu Reeves voice acting in this film, blew me away. I will just tell you again that it's the most fun I've had in the theater this year. Definitely one of. The only real negative thing I can even say about this movie, frankly, is that there's not really any stakes. There's no like high stakes in the film. It's just kind of formulaic, almost like playing to the big boss in the video game. And because of the kind of basic formula, it is predictable. So you do kind of know what's going to happen, how it's probably going to turn out. There's no real plot twists or surprises in the narrative of the film. That's the only real negative, but I didn't care because I was having so much fun with it. Jim Carrey was making me laugh out of my seat. I took my 11-year-old son to see this. He also loved it. I asked him for his rating after we saw it, and he dropped a 4 out of 5 on it. I do my ratings on the channel out of 100. I don't know why. Why do I do that? I might change that. I'm going to give Sonic the Hedgehog 3 out of 185. This is a great movie. It's probably one of my favorite films of the year, which is shocking because I'm not a super fan of the Sonic franchise. I mean, I have fun with the movies. I played the game when I was younger, but I'm not following the characters. I don't know the lore. But this was so much fun, and I enjoyed it with my son. If you guys are going out to see a family film this year, I know Mufasa is opening this weekend as well. I'm not nearly as excited about that one as I was about Sonic 3. I don't even know if I'll see Mufasa because I hated the 2019 Lion King live action. Let me do the largest air quotes I have, live action. But I'm not here to bash Mufasa. I'm here to tell you guys to go see Sonic 3. Check it out. What did you guys think of it? Have you seen it? Are you going to be seeing it? Let me know down below. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you out here next time in the garage.